What's going on, and welcome to the Solo Shot. My name is Tom Vecchia. We have a loaded 15-game MLB slate tonight. It starts at 7:05. As always, this is one of the many shows on the FanDuel Podcast Network. You can find that anywhere, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. Make sure to give it a like, follow, or subscribe. That is greatly appreciated. And you can follow me on Twitter at DFS_Tom. Jim Sonis is out this week. He's out the beginning of next week, so I am filling in for the Solo Shot every day at 9 a.m. here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook page. I will also be back at 4 p.m. for the Q&A every day in those same locations. Before we hop into things, listen up, soccer fans. This season, FanDuel and Captain Morgan are teaming up to give you a one-of-a-kind soccer contest, introducing Captain Morgan Soccer Pick'em, a weekly fantasy contest that's entirely free to play. The contest is simple. All you have to do is make quick predictions for Saturday's games this soccer season, and you'll earn points for each correct pick and compete for your chance to win up to $3,000 every single week. Head over to FanDuel and enter the Captain Morgan Soccer Pick'em today. Must be 21 plus to participate. For more details, visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel Fantasy app. Eligibility restrictions apply. And don't forget to make your game day more delicious and sub in the captain. All right, so we have a 15-game slate. It starts at 7:05. We do have Coors Field on this slate. And speaking of Coors Field, that is where we are potentially dealing with some weather issues. As always, I will recommend to follow Kevin Roth on Twitter. He is a meteorologist. He is one of, if not the best meteorologist for the DFS industry. We do have some weather issues for Coors Field. Should be seeing some rain throughout the entirety of the game. That's what I'm seeing as of now. Of course, we'll wait for his update later in the day, along with some wind blowing in. For the game in Oakland, the Padres at the Athletics, we have some wind blowing out. And then the Astros at the Dodgers, we have a little bit of a stronger wind blowing out. Other than that, I think we're okay. But of course, the game at Coors Field with weather can be pretty important. Starting off on this loaded 15-game slate, we should have had Garrett Cole on the slate, but he is now out due to COVID protocol. So we are dealing with still a loaded top tier of pitchers, starting off with Walker Buehler at $11,100, Zach Wheeler at $10,700, and Sean Manaea at $10,000. Those are the three pitchers above $10,000. But I want to start off with Zach Wheeler, who is shaping up to be my number one pitcher on today's slate. Again, $10,700, just a bit cheaper compared to Walker Buehler. I'll break all this down. Starting off, Wheeler has a very strong 29.8% strikeout rate this season, with a 5.8% walk rate, coming in with a phenomenal 3.12 Sierra and a 2.78 xFIP, only allowing 0.58 home runs per nine. He is going up against a very, very depleted Washington Nationals team who, with their current roster, come in with a 24.1% strikeout rate this season versus right-handed pitching. That is the 13th worst in the league. So they're around the league average. They're not a super heavy strikeout team, but more importantly, they come in with a 131 team ISO versus righties this year. That is 28th in the league, and they come in with an 84 WRC plus versus righties. That is 25th in the league. And, a Washington Nationals team that was already pretty average to begin with. And then you remove Schwarber, you remove Trey Turner from that lineup, you remove Yan Gomes, some of their better hitters, and they are looking that much weaker. It's really just Juan Soto and Josh Bell as really their two best hitters. So really, they do not present a whole lot of danger at all. So we are looking to Wheeler for that strikeout upside, for his ability to get deeper into games against a very, very weak opponent. Now, I'm ranking him slightly ahead of Walker Buehler tonight. The price, the salaries on them is only $400 difference. So we're kind of splitting hairs there. But Walker Buehler is facing Houston. And we'll all agree that Houston is just factually a more difficult lineup and a more difficult matchup for Walker Buehler than it is for Zach Wheeler going up against Washington, combined with the fact that we do see a little bit of wind blowing out in LA at Dodger Stadium. So, we want to be factoring in everything we possibly can. And although Walker Buehler has been amazingly consistent, specifically in the second half of the season, going 7+ innings in a lot of these games, going 7, 8, 9 strikeouts in a lot of these games, we have to factor the matchup, and Houston is no doubt a tougher matchup. I, of course, still like Walker Buehler tonight. I will still have some exposure to him, but he is going to be slightly behind Zach Wheeler when we factor in everything: salary, matchup, park factor, weather, all these sorts of things. Now, Lance McCullers on the other side of Walker Buehler has been also very, very consistent this season, but he's not actually a pitcher I'm going to be looking to have too much exposure to. We do see him going from an AL park to an NL park, which means he has to hit, which means he could be coming out of the game that much earlier. We do see him continuing to struggle with walks slightly this year. We do see him having some good but not great performances this season, or especially recently. So I'm actually looking to drop down a little bit and go to a pitcher like Dylan Cease tonight for the Chicago White Sox, coming in with a very strong 29.3% strikeout ratio and 9.3% walk rate, which isn't great. We like to see that a little bit lower. He's only allowing 1.08 home runs per 9. He has a strong 3.77 SIERA and a 3.96 xFIP. Going up against a Kansas City Royals team I don't think we need to be too afraid of. And more importantly, Cease has shown the ability to go toe-to-toe and head-to-head with a lot of the top-tier pitchers, including Walker Buehler and Zach Wheeler, when it comes to their strikeout potential, and yet Dylan Cease is only $8,300. So that's really where I'm looking to Dylan Cease, but he is clearly behind Zach Wheeler due to the fact that Dylan Cease doesn't seem to get that deep into games where he's always at 5.1, 6 innings, where we do see Zach Wheeler going 7.2 innings in a lot of these starts. So there's a slightly shorter leash on Dylan Cease, and that can limit his upside. But in reality, the matchup is very strong for him. So when it comes to the top tier pitching, really, really loving Zach Wheeler as just the clear number one tonight. He's been better than, I'm not saying he's better than Walker Buehler, but he's better than Walker Buehler on the slate, all things considered, salary matchup, all those sorts of things. I'm then looking at Walker Buehler as a number 2 just because we have seen a higher level of consistency from him compared to someone like Dylan Cease. But then I actually want to take Dylan Cease at $8,300 because the savings is actually really, really good on the loaded 15-game slate where we do have Coors Field. Yes, we still have weather in that Coors Field game, but we still should be looking there if it were to be playing. This is not to say I don't like going to a few shares of Sean Manaea tonight, and he probably shouldn't be that popular, especially going up against the San Diego Padres. We know what kind of power they have in their lineup. This is not to say I don't like some of the other pitching options. I think Johnny Cueto is actually in a decent spot tonight, $8,100. He's been pretty consistent as of late going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. So the pitching on tonight's slate, I don't have another pitcher I'll touch on as we close things out, but the pitching on tonight's slate, I want to say, is very strong, and the top tier is looking very, very clear. Now, moving on to the stacks on tonight's slate. Starting off, we want to be looking at the Chicago White Sox attacking Kris Bubic for the Kansas City Royals. Yes, I like Dylan Cease and the hitters from Chicago tonight. Bubic only has a 74.2 inning sample size this season. He has a very low 18.7% strikeout ratio. Strikeout rate, I should say, 11.2% walk rate, which is terrible. He's coming in with a 4.96 SIERA, a 4.82 xFIP, and he is allowing 1.69 home runs per 9. Not allowing an overwhelming amount of fly balls nor an overwhelming amount of hard contact, but he does have a 19.2% home run to fly ball ratio, which is worse than the league average. He's also allowing a 9.4% barrel rate. So numbers you don't like to see as a pitcher, but numbers we love to see when we look to be stacking against him. And for the White Sox, that's going to be starting off with Jose Abreu, who comes in with an awesome 316 ISO in this split. We then look to, I would say, 316 ISO versus lefties in this split. We then could look to Andrew Vaughn, who has a 294 ISO versus lefties this season, and then even Adam Engel at 286. I think that all these players are certainly on the table. Now, a player like Tim Anderson only has a 115 ISO this season. We generally don't look to Tim Anderson for that, power home run upside, but he is certainly a player that we know gets on base. He can steal a couple bases, and certainly a player you want in your stacks. For a slight injury update for The White Sox, Eloy Jimenez has recently come back from his injury that he has suffered at the beginning part of the season. He did not play on Sunday. Whether he makes the lineup today is yet to be seen, but he could be a player you look to add to some of your White Sox stacks. We know the power that he does bring, especially in a righty-lefty matchup. So really, overall, the White Sox are shaping up to be one of my favorite stacks on tonight's slate. Just that home run upside potential for them, the power upside that they have, really just attacking a pitcher in Bubic that gives up too many walks. He's allowing home runs. Doesn't have a high strikeout rate, which means he can't really pitch himself out of trouble, which is what we like to see when we're attacking a pitcher. So really, Abreu, Vaughn, Adam Engel could be an option, mixing in some shares of Jimenez if he does play, and then Tim Anderson. Really liking what Chicago offers today. They should be a very, very popular stack outside of Coors Field. Now, just mentioning stacks and Coors Field, whenever we have a game in Colorado at Coors, I don't mention the stacks at Coors. I think it's pretty much a given. It's kind of just an easy answer. Stack the hitters at Coors Field. Everyone should know that. Generally don't like to touch on them just because it's so clear. Everyone knows that we don't want to be wasting time. We want to be looking at other options that we could potentially be pairing with Coors Field, or fading some of the chalk that could be at Coors Field. Next up, I want to be looking at the Los Angeles Angels tonight. Now, I know they've been struggling in a few games recently when it comes to their run production, but they are in a good spot tonight going up against Jordan Lyles, a pitcher from the Texas Rangers. He comes in with an 18.3% strikeout rate this season, 7.3% walk rate. He's allowing 1.97 home runs per 9, which is absolutely terrible. He comes in with a 4.86 SIERA, a 5.02 xFIP. He's allowing a 43% fly ball ratio and a 38% hard contact rate this year. Absolutely terrible. He has an 8.8% barrel rate. Lyles is a right-handed pitcher, yet he is allowing only 1.35 home runs per 9 to lefties, and he's allowing a 47.9% fly ball rate to lefties and an only 10.0% home run fly ball ratio. So no, what this means is that he's allowing all of these fly balls, yet a very low percentage of them are actually going for home runs. So Lyles, as I've written about a number of times on numberFire.com over the past month or so, we have seen Lyles' home run to fly ball ratio. It was at 6.7%. It was then at 7.9%. It's now at 10%. He has seen some real negative regression because he is not going to maintain a 6 or 7% home run fly ball ratio when he's giving up a 47.9% fly ball rate. So I've been buying into attacking Jordan Lyles specifically with lefties because he's been, for lack of a better term, he's been getting lucky. Right? You can't be giving up a nearly 48% fly ball rate, and so few of them be going for home runs, combined with the fact he's giving up a 37.7% hard contact rate. So I am certainly looking to the Angels tonight. Yes, their lineup is not as powerful as it could be with no Jared Walsh, with no Mike Trout. Of course, their lineup could be that much better. But going to Shohei Ohtani, of course, multi-home run upside, a fantastic, not even fantastic, a phenomenal, otherworldly 383 ISO versus left-handed pitchers this year is absolutely unbelievable. A 174 WRC plus versus righties, that is absolutely unbelievable. We can be looking to Max Stassi as well with a 259 ISO and a 178 WRC plus versus righties. All of these are great numbers. You can be looking to, I would say, a few shares of Justin Upton as well if he does make the lineup. David Fletcher is a player that brings next to no power, but he certainly gets on base. We're not going to be getting home run upside from him, but you can be looking to add him to your stacks as well. Jose Iglesias as well for the Angels, and more importantly for the Angels, they are very, very affordable tonight. Ohtani, of course, is expensive at $4,500, but immediately after him, Max Stassi is the next most expensive player at only $3,300. And then after him, it would be Taylor Ward if he does make the lineup. He's dealing with a slight rib injury right now, but if it's not him, it's Fletcher at $2,800. Two players above $3,000. Everyone else is below $2,800. So we are getting some real value here going up against Jordan Lyles, who's allowing this 47.9% fly ball ratio to lefties and a 40.5% fly ball rate to righties. So the home run potential for the Angels, despite a lack of offense in some of these recent games, if we look back to some of their games at the end of last week against the Athletics, they got shut out in one game, only it scored one run in one of those games. But regardless of that, we're looking at a pitcher who's allowing 1.97 home runs per 9 overall. So yes, attacking Jordan Lyles is absolutely something I have a ton of interest in tonight. And frankly, from a point per dollar standpoint, the Angels really should be or will end up as one of my favorite stacks on tonight's slate. Like, there's no other way to put it. Another stack I want to be looking at tonight, we're going to be going right back to one of the stacks from last night, and that is the San Francisco Giants. They put up a number of runs last night. I know that the Yankees, they were super chalky last night. I expect them to be super chalky tonight as well. I think that they are a good option tonight. There's no denying it. They're still at home, I should say. They're going up against Alexander Wells from Baltimore. You can look to attack him. The Yankees were in a good spot last night. It's baseball. I guess they just didn't get it done. I will say on the other side, kind of nailed exactly what I said about Andrew Heaney, where those home runs against him could be coming through, and that's what the Orioles certainly did. But what I'm trying to say is I do like the Yankees tonight. I think they're fine. Don't necessarily want to talk about them too much. I want to be going back to San Francisco because they're going up against Madison Bumgarner, a pitcher that is arguably having the worst year of his career. He's coming in with a 22.3% strikeout rate, a 6.1% walk rate. Those are both very, very average. He's allowing 1.27 home runs per 9. You could say he allowed more home runs per 9 last year. He did 2.81, but of course, I was dealing with the smaller sample size. But more importantly, he's allowing a 47.7% fly ball ratio this season, which is the worst of his career, a 42.3% hard contact rate, which is the third worst of his career. He's allowing a 7.9% barrel rate. Really rough numbers from Madison Bumgarner, who for so many years was one of the most consistent pitchers in the league. So yes, we want to be going back to the Giants tonight. They put up a whole lot of runs last night. Hopefully they're going to be doing the same tonight. I think we still can be looking to some of the same hitters tonight, but we also should be looking to potentially differentiate. I was big on Brandon Crawford last night to hit home run. He didn't get it done. Obviously, a nice long fly out to, I think it was close to the warning track in like the third or the fourth inning last night. A little bit of a tease there when he was my home run call. But outside of that, the Giants still have plenty of options. You can, of course, be looking to the newly acquired Chris Bryant for them. You can be looking to Darren Ruff, Buster Posey, anyone who cracks the lineup for the Giants. I think that they are going to be a team that is not popular tonight. Given the context of the slate, like last night, it was very clear just to stack the Giants as one of the most popular teams on the slate alongside the Yankees, just because we were dealing with a 7-game slate, and the matchup they had against Taylor Widener last night was absolutely phenomenal. But on tonight's slate, we have so many teams right now. I'm seeing 7 teams or so with implied run totals over 5. The Rockies, the Yankees, the White Sox, the Red Sox, the Cubs, and then the Giants and the Brewers. So yes, the Coors Field game should be very popular. I'm big on the White Sox. I think the Yankees should be chalk. Yeah, the Red Sox are in a great spot going up against Willie Peralta from Detroit. Not necessarily going to touch on them, but I do think that they are a fantastic stack today, and I do want to have exposure to them. But the Giants are a team that could get lost in the mix a little bit, considering, we have a loaded 15-game slate. So that's why I'm kind of interested in going back to the Giants again today. It's not like we're just going back to them for the sake of going back to them. They are in a great spot going up against Madison Bumgarner. Really a pitcher that we should be attacking. So those are the main stacks that I'm looking at. Coors Field, of course, is going to be in play. Looking to the Chicago White Sox very heavily tonight. I want to be going back to the Giants tonight, and then I want to be going back to the Angels again. Looking to attack Jordan Lyles. He should be giving up more home runs than he currently is, especially versus left-handed hitters. So looking to the Angels tonight. Now, another the final 3 things that I want to be looking at today is, one, going to be starting off with a stack that I want to be looking at. And then that's going to transition into the one of the home run calls, and then we'll close things out with a pitcher to look at. The Detroit Tigers tonight. I actually have a bit of interest in going to the Detroit Tigers tonight, going up against Garrett Richards from the Red Sox. I actually think that this is a game for a potential game stack, because we know that the Red Sox, of course, bring plenty of power and they are in a good spot. Their offense is, of course, fantastic. But really, Garrett Richards is not that strong of a pitcher, and he's allowing too many home runs, 1.42 home runs per 9 to be exact this season, with a very, very modest 17.3% strikeout rate this season, 9.7% walk rate. Those two things are numbers that I love to see in combination. A pitcher kind of like Chris Bubich for the Kansas City Royals, a player that does not have a high strikeout rate and is allowing too many walks. So he generally can't pitch himself out of trouble. And then when we see him allowing nearly 1.5 home runs per 9, this is a player that can get in trouble and can get in trouble early, and that leads to plenty of runs. We look to some of the other numbers for Garrett Richards. He has a 5.02 Sierra, a 4.87 xFIP this season, and he's allowing a 15.5% home run to fly ball ratio. His fly ball rate isn't that high overall. It's only 31%. And we look to his splits specifically, it's at 23% versus lefties and 35.9% versus righties. He's also allowing right around 37% hard contact rate versus both lefties and righties, and we should see some of his fly balls increase as the season goes on. Ultimately, he's really not that good of a pitcher, and looking to attack him via a Detroit Tigers stack is something that I have a ton of interest in. And really, they have a number of players you can be going to, whether it be Akil Baddoo, Eric Haas, Robbie Grossman. All of these players are looking strong with their ISOs in the high 170s or up at 272 like Baddoo at who is leading the team right now, combined with the fact that a lot of them have strong fly ball ratios. Robbie Grossman at 49.5, Eric Haas at 45.9%, Baddoo at 42.3, and even Miguel Cabrera in his later years of his career, a 39% fly ball ratio and a 38.4% hard contact rate. So this will lead into one of my home run calls for today. Jim gives 2 home run calls, so I'm told. So I'll be giving one now, and then I'll give a second one on the 4 p.m. Q&A stream. So starting off, the first home run call for today will be Eric Haas of the Detroit Tigers. Absolutely fantastic numbers, like I said, in this split going up against right-handed pitching. Coming in with a 246 ISO versus righties, coming off winning the AL Rookie of the Month for July. Add that to a 45.9% fly ball ratio, as I said, and a 40% hard contact rate. Is absolutely fantastic. Yes, we should be looking to attack Garrett Richards, a pitcher that we have seen struggle specifically in the second portion of the season. So we have a couple main stacks to work with. Between the Angels, the White Sox, and the Giants. Of course, we can add in Coors Field as somewhat of a main stack. But then the Tigers are really, really interesting to me. And then overall, like I said, this game is really interesting to me to do it as a game stack. I think that this is firmly in play. Eric Haas is my first home run call for tonight. We'll circle back to a second one on the 4 p.m. Q&A. Of course, you can find that here on the FanDuel YouTube page, the Twitch page, the Facebook page, all of those sorts of things. But then next, the final pitcher I have a bit of interest in today, and that is going to be Tyler Mahle for the Cincinnati Reds. He's only $7,900 going up against the Minnesota Twins. Now, if we look to the strikeout rate for pitchers specifically on today's slate, technically Nestor Cortez for the Yankees leads the way. He, of course, has a smaller sample size, but Zach Wheeler is number 1 at a 29.8% strikeout rate. Cease is number 2 at 29.3, and then Tyler Mahle is the number 3 pitcher on this slate at 28.2% strikeout rate. He is a phenomenal strikeout pitcher, and he's even higher than Walker Buehler, who's only at 26.6% this season. So Tyler Mahle going up against the Minnesota Twins is a matchup I have a bit of interest in. Again, combined with the fact that Mahle only has is only sitting at $7,900 tonight, and you can use that salary to pay up for a number of stacks that we could possibly want. The Giants aren't particularly cheap. The White Sox can be certainly expensive. If you're paying up for Coors Field, those hitters can also be very, very expensive. And getting a Coors Field stack combined with Zach Wheeler is very, very tough to do. But Mahle is $7,900, and as I just showed, his strikeout rate can compete with Zach Wheeler or Dylan Cease. So this is actually a matchup that I'm very, very interested in for Tyler Mahle going up against the Minnesota Twins. Now, the Twins overall don't strike out a whole lot versus right-handed pitching this season. They're only at 22.6% with their current roster. That's actually 22nd in the league. So they're better than the league average, but we have seen them regress a little bit with a 101 WRC plus versus righties in their current lineup, which is literally right at the league average 101, removing Nelson Cruz from their lineup makes them just a little bit weaker overall. And I think, we have seen Minnesota post some of these just dud games when they should be in a good spot, but they're against a high strikeout pitcher now. So I do like Mahle for his potential upside. It's a loaded 15-game slate. Again, looking at Zach Wheeler as my number one option at 4 pitching, Walker Buehler number 2, and then Dylan Cease, $8,300, another pitcher that you can be using for that strikeout upside in combination with some stacks on Coors Field. Looking to the Angels tonight, looking to the White Sox tonight, looking to the Giants tonight as my 3 main stacks combined with Coors Field, adding in a few shares of Detroit, hoping to get them a bit under the radar. And then Eric Haas will be my first home run call for today. The second one will be coming on the 4 p.m. Q&A show right here on the FanDuel Twitch and YouTube page. All right, so that does it for today's podcast. As always, can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. Make sure to give it a like, follow, or subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS_Tom. And until next time, good luck in your contests.